Dan Lashof. He's the director at the World Resources Institute and joins us now from Washington, D.C. Dan, thanks so much for joining us on TRT World. Now, this is one of the first actions taken by the Biden administration, and it shows how this issue is important for his administration. But will having the U.S. back in the game make a difference?
Absolutely. Rejoining the Paris Agreement was the most visible step President Biden took on day one of his administration, showing his priority to address climate change. But equally important, he's taken a number of other measures to use executive authority to start rebuilding the environmental safeguards that the Trump administration had rolled back during his 4 years in office. And so President Biden is not only rejoining the Paris Agreement and holding a leaders summit in April, but he's establishing a set of domestic policies on reducing emissions from cars and power plants and methane and the super pollutant HFCs, which are used in refrigeration, that will start to really reduce U.S. emissions. And that, I think, provides the U.S. some more credibility as it re-enters the international discussions.
Then, despite the COVID-19 travel bans that kept millions of people at home, 2020 was still the world's hottest year on record. Why is this the case?
Well, that's because the global warming is a cumulative effect of all the emissions that have happened over decades. And so even though global emissions in 2020 were reduced, particularly from transport, as you say, the actual concentration of heat trapping pollution in the atmosphere has not decreased. We'll have to make much deeper reductions over the next decades and, in fact, start removing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere in order to stabilize our climate.
And then let's take a look at the overall picture. I mean, each nation that signed the Paris climate deal agreed to limit global heating by setting individual carbon emission reduction targets. So which countries managed to make some progress when it comes to this?
Well, many countries have made progress, but when you add up all the commitments, they are clearly not enough to get us to the goal of the Paris Agreement of limiting global warming to no more than 2 degrees Celsius. And in fact, we've learned since Paris the importance of really trying to achieve the goal of no more than 1.5 degrees. And so each country needs to strengthen their commitments. And the Paris Agreement is designed to do that every 5 years. With the meeting in Glasgow coming up at the end of this year being a key milestone for countries to strengthen their commitments under the Paris agreements to reduce their emissions. But I would say at the moment, certainly the European Union has taken the most ambitious stance with its commitment to make a 55% reduction by 2030. And the United States still has to, after now rejoining Paris, put a 2030 target on the table, which it's expected to do before the April summit. And as Rachel Cletus said earlier in your program, a 50% reduction by 2030 is the kind of ambition I think the United States needs to have and that it can achieve with a really concerted effort.
Dan Lashof, thanks so much for that insight for us here at TRT World. He is the director at the World Resources Institute.